Imagine a world where there's no federal income taxes and no IRS. That means there is no tax returns, there's no tax withholdings, there's just sales tax. That's it. So there is a proposed bill. It's called the Fair Tax Act, and it is from Senator Buddy Carter of Georgia. This has been introduced before, but it is now being reintroduced. And this is actually kind of interesting. If you haven't heard of this yet, it basically eliminates your federal income taxes and replaces it with a sales tax or a consumption tax. So that makes a lot of sense. And imagine how easy this is going to be for the country if it gets passed. It's likely not to, but let's dig into it, because if it's starting to get reintroduced again and again and again, what does that tell you? More and more people are looking at it. So maybe this is a thing of the future. I see this as really interesting. Let's talk about it. So I pulled up the bill and I was going through it, and I went right to the section for how much the sales tax would be. And it was 23, or it's going to be, or it could be potentially proposed in the calendar year starting in 2025, basically a flat 23% of your gross payments. Now, this would also, for those people who are thinking, oh, what about my Social Security? That is basically taking that into account. So it's combining it all together. That's what it looks like to me. So what it's saying is we're going to take a 15% tax, federal income tax, and add that to the 1/2 of self-employment, which is 7.65. Put those two together, round up, and you get 23%. That is where they're getting this. But it's not really 23%. It's kind of a little different. Let me explain. So if you take this, we'll take my calculator out here, and let's say it was 100. I saw this as an example out. I'll show you in a second. But let's say it was $100. You bought something, a good or a service, for $100. They would tack on the rate to it. So it's 23% of gross, which actually means it's 30%. So, and I don't know, I didn't read the whole text yet, but I don't know how they extrapolated that, but that's what 23% of the gross means. So for example, let's say you bought something for $100 and there's $30 in tax. 30 divided by the 130 is going to be your 23%. So that is where they're getting the math from. Kind of, just another thing that they make sort of misleading. But it's 23% of the gross, which in reality is 30% tacked on to basically whatever you buy. So that is a consumption tax. Now, I'm sure people hear that and think, well, whoa, that's going to be like inflation on steroids. Everything is going to be super expensive. But remember, your paychecks are going to be significantly bigger. In addition to that, there is a prebate. So you're not getting a federal tax refund at the end of the year. You have to wait months and months to get that back, file your taxes, and get the refund back, and do all the everything which way that you do in order to get your tax credits, your deductions, and whatever. The prebate is for everyone that is at the poverty line and below, and they would get a monthly prebate. So it's basically like an advanced credit or advanced payment each month to be able to pay for the necessities like groceries, etc. Now, maybe this is also seen as a clean slate, which is pretty it's going to get rid of the entire tax code essentially, which is really cool in my opinion. So it's the federal income tax, it's the death tax, the estate tax. It's basically everything and combining it into one. And I was looking for other interesting things on it. Was that it would just basically continue Social Security, so that wouldn't be eliminated at all. And this fairtax.org, I've never seen this website before. But it's saying, get a tax refund in advance. So you can still get that. So people that think like, oh, everything is going to be super expensive if you are at the poverty line or below. So it does still help everyone that's in need. Pay tax on only what you spend. And everyone pays their fair share. The IRS is no longer needed. That means no 87,000 additional agents, no agents whatsoever. It seems like just a clean slate. And I think that is a piece that this country needs. We need a clean slate to this legislation that is incredibly complicated. And it's something I deal with all the time. You think of all the retirement plans, they'd be obsolete. It would just be investing. It would just be saving. It wouldn't be playing all of the games and trying to figure out, okay, should I use a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA? Which is also kind of interesting when you think about it, because does that make Roth IRAs completely obsolete? And does it also make the traditional IRA something that is actually way more valuable because it was pre-tax to begin with? So would that mean they would just say, hey, there's no more income tax, so anything you pull out of a traditional IRA is tax-free, but you've never paid tax on it? That would be a really interesting transition. I haven't seen anything in the bill, heard anything, how that would work. If something is pre-tax in the past, does that mean it's a better investment today or a better option, taxable option today? Maybe, maybe not. But Biden has already said, or apparently has said, that he is opposed to it. So we'll see what happens. But I think this was kind of interesting, and I will keep you updated. If you have any questions, comments, let me know in the comments down below. We'll see you on the next one.